Hello and welcome to this session on payloads and network communications. So in this session we're going to have a look at the actual payload which is transmitted from Maligno server to the client, and we will see how we can encode it and different options that we have over there. So let me start as usual showing you the current configuration. So we're still using requests.xml as a profile. And if we look at the contents of the profile, we are going to focus on this specific area and also in two specific parameters which I didn't cover before that we have in the actual response. And this is because they are very related to the payload, and that's why I just felt that it was more natural to cover everything together. So when it comes to the actual network, the section here, this is what's controlling everything related to the payload and how it's transmitted. So we have the encoding. At the moment we have hexadecimal encoding, but here you could use either base 64, binary, or hexadecimal, just like I said. The number of rounds that you want to use while encoding, the block size, the padding character, and the secret used by the cipher to encrypt the payload, and then two specific options that we will have a look at that just in a moment. So we are all set here. Let me close. I have generated a client and it's already deployed, so I am just going to start Maligno. And the MSF console as well. So everything is ready. Let's open Wireshark. And we're good to go. So let's go to the victim, run the client, go back to the attacker, the request comes, and our session is here. So let's have a look at the communications. So if we see here, we have the actual request coming from the client, and then the Maligno server just sending the payload. As you see, here we have the payload in hexadecimal encoding as expected, and you should note here that we have a small sentence saying this should go at the beginning, and here in the end we have this should go at the end. These two specific sentences is something that I added to the profile using these two parameters here in the response, the prefix, and as you see, the contents are just provided before they get prepended to the payload, and then the suffix on the response is this should go at the end, which gets appended. So if you want to simulate or add other types of communications in addition to the actual payload, this is where you should include it in the profile. So let me remove these guys. And then let's focus on these two options, which is the get code mode. So until now we've seen the client just requesting once the actual payload that we want to download from Maligno server. And as you see, everything is quite, let's say, quick, and there is not much traffic involved. But how about if you have, for example, network analysts, or you want to teach people network analysis and you want to use the tool for that matter? Well, the get code mode, it allows you to repeat the same request many different times before the actual payload is injected into memory and run, and then the session comes into Metasploit. So let's say, for example, that we are going to, let's say 25 times. We want to repeat the same request 25 times. So this is going to increase the amount of traffic that goes from the client to the server and so on. And then each request, instead of just sending a burst of requests, I will delay each of them. I will throttle them, let's say 1 per second. I am going to save the request, .xml file, the profile. Let me generate a new client. Let's start Maligno in the meantime. This should be working, I guess. So we leave the handler over there, and then let's just deploy the new client. Okay, let's go to the victim. Here it is. Everything should be all ready. So let's get started. So first of all, Wireshark in place. Run the payload. And just in a moment we should get the action over here. As you see, there are many requests coming in. Note here the timing, the seconds. You see it changing? That's 1 request per second, just like we said before. And the actual traffic is just flowing. As soon as the last request comes in, then the session will just, okay, there it is. So let me stop. And here you see how everything goes. Request, response, request, response, request, response, and so on. And if you focus on the actual conversation, this is now not using any prefix or suffix before the payload, and it's using hexadecimal encoding, just like we define in the profile. So let's have a look at another one. This time, let's just remove the get code mode. And let's focus, for example, on binary encoding, so you see the difference. Once again, new profile, start Maligno. Keep in mind that when you have many different clients, this is something that, well, as long as you have the common settings, you don't have to generate all the time. It's just when you change the configurations for both either the client or the server. All right. Let's get our client here in place. Wireshark. And we are good to go. Okay, here it is. Session. Let's stop. Let's have a look at what it came here. And as you see now, the contents of the payload is, well, as you see, not the same as before. It's not hexadecimal, it's actually binary. Wireshark is showing characters. So as you see, we have the flexibility when it comes to the encoding. Just like I said, base 64, hexadecimal, or binary. So well, this is what I planned for this video. I hope that you understood and you saw more in details how the actual payload can be configured and how it works. Thanks for watching.